Hey, Toronto. Welcome to Housing Market Podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Kate.
Thanks for tuning in. We've got some really interesting news for you. We're going to break down how the city and the province have decided to play nice together.
Yep.
And it's actually a win for both sides.
Yes, absolutely.
And stay tuned to the end for Kate's driving tips from the East End.
My road rage. If you're a driver in Toronto, you'll definitely want to check this out.
Absolutely. The city and province have managed to get together. It sounds like they're putting late night shifts and trying to get this to come together, but to play nice and find a solution that benefits them both.
Absolutely. Who would have thought Olivia Chow and Doug Ford coming together?
I didn't see that coming this fast, but it sounds like a win for both sides. And I think Ford said it's a good deal because both sides are a little unhappy.
Yeah. So let's talk about what is actually happening, Dave. What is going on?
So a number of different things. Let's start with the DVP and the Gardiner.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know, in the late 90s, that became the responsibility of the city.
Yes.
So basically to maintain those roads, which are very expensive, especially because it's expensive to maintain because it's a raised highway. We've seen the city get rid of the York Street exit, and then most recently the
eastbound exit.
The eastbound exit on
hurting all of us Eastenders
on Lakeshore there. Taking down two of those off ramps.
And this highway in particular gets, I would say, a lot of damage compared to other ones. It's right along the water. You're in a part of Toronto that has very odd seasonality. It'll be snowing and freezing one day and then warming up the next. So I feel like this highway goes through it and is taking some beatings.
Yeah, insert joke about DVP Parkway.
Oh, the Don Valley parking lot? Yeah.
So shifting the financial responsibility to the to the province, coinciding with the other 400 series highways.
Yeah, they've basically, I think they're using the term uploading. They've uploaded it to the province.
Yeah.
Given back the responsibility, but
Is there somebody at a computer that actually...
Probably, honestly. And basically they take on all of the responsibility for maintaining and repairing it, but they are also now the decision maker for these roads in the city.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason that Ford really wanted this was it's such a major artery for not just Toronto, but all of Ontario, the entire GTA, all of the major cities around it. We're the center of Ontario, but also... Maybe this is just like the spoiled Torontonian in me, but we're part of Canada, and there's a lot of...
Don't stop there, Kate.
There's a lot of shipping.
There's a joke through the rest of Canada that Toronto is the center of the universe.
We are.
And we know it.
As someone who lives in Toronto, there's a lot of shipping, a lot of deliveries that go through,
I think it's one of the most traveled highways in the country.
Absolutely. So I can understand why they would want responsibility and want to be able to make decisions without the city stepping in the way every time.
He also mentioned that their goal is not to make it a toll highway. So he pledged that it's going to be free.
He kept referencing that he did eliminate 2 toll highways from Durham region. He keeps referencing that. So my only fear is what happens. Ford has pledged not to make these toll highways. What happens when Ford's out? Is the only solution keep Ford in forever? That's like my concern. But again, that's further down the road. But that's just the cynical thinker in me.
And I mean, you can't predict the future, but that's what the plan is currently. I know in 2016, there was a plan to look at putting tolls in on the highway, but I think the Liberal government at the time blocked that.
Yeah, the Liberal government blocked it, and there was a lot of pushback from everybody. I mean, I can't imagine if you take that highway to work every day, having to pay on a toll on it. It's just something that a lot of people don't want to do, but also the amount of, unless they made it automated, I can't even imagine the amount of traffic backlog it would take.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a better solution than trying to combine the Lakeshore and the Gardiner.
Yeah, I think one of Olivia Chow's promises when she was running for mayor was that she wanted to turn the Gardiner into a ground level boulevard.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who wants to hang out. I can barely stand to be along Lakeshore when I'm crossing it. It's awful. It's loud. It echoes. It's unpleasant. There's exhaust from all the cars backed up on the east side. And I know a lot of them wanted to build parks around it. And I don't understand that because I don't want to go for a picnic beside a highway.
Two of the major issues are covered in this, and one that they've been working on for a while. So transportation, and they're also looking at home affordability, but also improvement to the waterfront is a third one that has been working on.
And we've seen them working on it down on Queens Quay. The last 6 years, redeveloping the streetcars along there, redeveloping the waterfront. It's very important to the city of Toronto.
In the last decade, the waterfront's really come a long way. Yeah. So it looks like they're trying to continue that as well.
Yep. And then the other interesting thing is that the city was facing a $1.5 billion shortfall And they were thinking about the whole Ontario Place project and restoration of the Gardiner. They were talking about potentially just sidelining these projects because the city simply could not afford it. We're in too much of a deficit at the moment. We didn't have the funds for it. They were considering putting in a new sales tax. They were considering taxing commercial parking, and they were also considering raising the vacant home tax in order to pay for these projects. So now that's off the table because Ontario has agreed to cover the costs.
Yeah. I think I said to you earlier, Kate, break down this trade for me. What does the city get? What does Ontario get?
I can't, not in sports metaphors. I can in sports metaphors. To break it down, basically the city is handing off the responsibility of these two highways, including all the costs associated with them and decision making. In return, they are getting some extra funding. Some of it is going to help with affordable housing and building homes. I think the city has said that they will meet their goal of 74,000 new homes by 2025. They had to ensure that they would be doing that as part of this deal. Yep. They're also getting $330 million for operating the Eglinton LRT.
And the Finch.
Yeah.
Both LRTs combined. Yeah.
Not sure when Eglinton's going to be operating, but when it is operating, we have money to operate it.
Hopefully one day.
One day. And then basically it's going to total to $1.2 billion over 3 years in relief for the city. So, it's good for the city of Toronto. There doesn't seem to be a ton of downfall at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. Like it seems like they really work together on making this come together. And I like the fact that they're not tolling it.
There was mention that this also it takes funds liabilities away from the city, but also frees up some cash for them to be able to invest in policing. Huge issue with car thefts here. Also trying to make the public transit safer and to invest some of that affordable housing.
Yeah, I definitely think there's
higher density areas.
There's definitely been an increase in violence and crime on the TTC. I think since a lot more people, like with the cost of living, have been forced to use it. I'm not sure what's happening, but over the last 2 years, I have heard a lot about just crime in general on the subway line. Yeah. I think they also mentioned that they would be adding another 50 subway cars across the Bloor line.
55.
Yeah, across the Bloor line. So trying to increase that, get people moving across the city a little bit faster during rush hour.
So that's what the city's getting.
Yeah.
What's the province getting?
The province is getting the right for Ontario Place, the land.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is that Ford had actually talked about potentially taking it from the city and expropriating the land because there's been so much contention over what to do with it, so much arguing back and forth. They were going to expropriate the land. So I think this is a very nice trade-off from that. Instead of just losing the land outright, the city is actually getting something. I think Olivia Chow quoted, "It is called Ontario Place. Ontario should decide what's done with it." It's a nice little sentiment.
Yeah. It's nice to see that both sides it's going to be a win for both.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with it. When I was a kid, I used to love going to Ontario Place. My mom started taking us there when I was 5 up until I was about 13. We always had a lot of fun there. I don't think as a kid I ever realized how close it really was. Wonderland's a little far.
I remember as a kid going, there was a water park there.
Yeah, they had a water park. There was a ball pit. It was great for kids.
And I remember there's an IMAX there.
Yeah, there's an IMAX theater that's still there. It's also right beside Budweiser stage, which I frequented a couple of times this summer. I highly recommend it. If you want a $50 concert to go in the grass and dance, great time.
I do remember going there, fast forward 20 years later, or maybe even more, but sales conferences there. And then I also had the pleasure of water skiing, doing some water ski shows during the CNE.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've swam in Lake Ontario many a time.
When was that? 1993?
There was a 2 in front of it, Kate.
There was a 2?
There was a 2.
Okay. Yeah, but it was a great area. I don't actually know off the top of my head why it shut down. I would just assume funding. They weren't able to maintain it anymore. Right now, they've been using it as a park, and I know Olivia Chow wanted to keep it as a public park. That was her goal, and she has said that she's hoping that they're still going to make it really focus on community and the neighborhood, have it a spot that families can go to. They want to really keep it family friendly, whatever they decide to do with it.
I believe the plan is to put the science center down there.
Yes, and I think a lot of people were talking about that a few months ago when they first mentioned it.
Yeah, and I think there's also sort of the headline is that there's plan to put it in a spa.
Yeah, I've heard about the spa. I don't know if they're doing open style Scandinavian spa. I feel like it would have to be indoors, being right on the water. That'd be cold.
Well, Toronto winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Nordic spa, that would be interesting. They haven't talked too much about what their plans are.
A lot of walk paths, a lot of developing green space, park space. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in exchange for them moving the Ontario Science Centre, Olivia Chow has promised actually that will not be used for residential housing, that land, as there's a massive development up there on Eglinton going in. I think it's 8 or 9 or 10 condo towers going in. So that's pretty massive. They've opened up a new station there and redeveloped it. There's a massive mall. So it would be, that was my first thought, was that they would immediately be going to putting in condos there. Sounds like they're not. So I'm interested also to see what they plan on doing with the old Ontario Centre, the Science Centre place.
I think that he said they're going to look to put some sort of educational or maintain a portion of the Science Centre there or something like that. The plans aren't fully out, but it sounds like they're agreeing to work together, which is great.
What do you think the motivation is for moving the Science Centre? Is it simply funding and putting it in a more accessible place? I'm curious why so much attention has been on the Science Centre.
I think it's a tool that they can move to a fresh new location. I haven't been in the Science Centre in several decades.
Yeah.
But I can imagine it probably needs some updating. And that if you are looking to draw more tourists to the waterfront, we've got seasonally, you got the C&E down there. We've got host the Honda Indy down there, the Blue Jays, Argos, BMO Field, Skydome. I still call it the Skydome and always will.
It's always the Skydome.
And
the Air Canada Centre.
Scotiabank Center, but I'll still call it the ACC, Hockey Hall of Fame. And all your bars and restaurants and entertainment and all the theaters are down in the core. So I think it's trying to just, if you put it down there, you might get more visitors.
And it's in a very odd location. Like I think even by transit, it's very difficult to get to.
Yeah, it's not the easiest location to get to.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess especially if you're bringing large groups of kids there for school.
And whether you're coming in to the city for school trips, easier to be right on the lakeshore off the Gardiner, or if you're coming in on the GO station, train, TTC, makes it just easier to get to, I think, is probably some of the idea.
And what are your thoughts about City being able to meet this target of 74,000 homes by 2025? I know that she mentioned that she wanted to condense it around transit lines, so that's really going to be their focus. Do you think this is doable? Have you seen the city make any steps towards achieving this goal? 2025 is only 2 years away. It's not far.
It is only 2 years away. And number one, I like the confidence when they're saying it. The reality is, if you're in the public sector and you're trying to build in the next 2 years, being able to get drawings, that's going to take a couple months, and then submitting it for approval, whether it has to go to further approvals through like committee of adjustment, stuff like that process alone can take a year, and then you're looking to build.
And selling the units takes time. Being
the government, I'm sure there's some sort of approval process that they have to go through with the community, but if they've already got the space lined up and the drawings and are prepared to go, you better get started on it quick, but you could probably reach those deadlines.
Yeah, I find a common factor whenever our governments are promising housing, I find that they're very vague about it. They never promised if they're going to have finished units, if they're going to have plans for new units, if they're just purchasing the land for these units. Like, they're very vague. And I've never seen anyone say, like, we are going to have 74,000 completely finished, ready for sale homes by 2025. I'm curious if that's the actual goal. And what happens if we don't meet it? Is Ford going to come over here and start beating every Torontonian with a stick?
I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, the less I define the goal, the easier it is for me to hit. When it is very defined, if I just say 74,000 units, I never say what exactly and what time point in 2025 it's going to be done and to what level.
Yeah.
But I can say, hey, we're 75% of the way there of completion. So we've achieved our goal.
I feel like the vaguer it is, the easier it is to argue your way out of failure.
Overall, I try to not focus on the individual details on this. I like that the city and province are working together. I like that it seems like they're two siblings around Christmas time conspiring to go to mom and dad, the federal government, for more money.
Yep.
And there have been underlying tones. Both sides have mentioned that, hey, when it's good for the city, it's good for the province, it's also good for the country. So let's get some additional funding in here to try and really make this a world-class city.
Yep, absolutely.
So I like that they're working together. It's refreshing considering how combative different sides of government have been in the media.
Yep.
It seems like we've gone a lot more to a little bit more of an American style where it's you're either with me or against me, but it gives me confidence that they can work together to achieve a goal.
It's nice to see a positive article about the government and about policy. But
absolutely.
We will continue to keep you guys updated on this. If we hear anything else from the government or when they, add some clarity around these plans, we'll make sure to give you guys an update.
Have you started your campaign to get the on-ramp for Gardiner East back?
No, my dreams are, I'm a pessimist.
Yeah.
He's never coming back. I said goodbye. I have pictures from when they took him down, and I made a grave.
Okay. I'll start sending you listings out here in Etobicoke.
Hey, I'm keeping my eye on the max exodus from the East End.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye. I'm just seeing when it starts because traffic is nuts.
Well, you do this commute several times a week. How long is it taking you now?
Anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour 15.
Yeah.
It really depends on the day. Today I was smashed in between 5 trucks, and it was absolutely terrifying, all of them trying to merge at the same time into one lane to get onto the highway. That's what blows my mind, is that they're like, hey, let's take down this 3-lane ramp. Let's move it down to 3 lanes of highway that has stoplights. Let's also do construction at Cherry. And every couple weeks, for 3 weeks at a time, let's just cut that all down to 1 lane. So what used to be 6 lanes has been cut down to 1 lane on and off for the last 2 years. And people are leaving. People are just leaving. And I'm convinced that whoever voted to take this down does not live in Toronto. I'm convinced. They do not drive in the city because they would never have done this to themselves.
There's a lot of, with more and more condos being built downtown, we get more and more people
More
and
and more cars.
more and more vehicles, right? So it's, we're not building more roads. So how do we move more people?
We're actually taking roads out.
Yeah.
And reducing lanes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys got some useful information about this and understand kind of the decision that went between the city and the provincial government a little bit better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give a like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. We do these weekly and we love doing them, but it's always nice to see when we get some likes and some comments from anyone who's viewing.
Please.
Yeah, please. Pretty please. We're not begging.
We'll tell Santa if you don't.